Right, I'm just trying to get some signal on my phone. I was messing around then like an idiot because I am a technophobe. Hi Kathy. Hello, hello, hello. I'm going to be sewing. So I hope you've got your sewing out too. I'm going to try something a little bit different today. A la spontaneous again. Because you know what I'm like. I'm bad like that. Feel like I should have tied my hair up really. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm just going to fiddle around with my phone. Make sure the volume's up. Pop a note in comments so I know who's there. Thank you. Stacey Williams. Hi Stacey. So we've got Kathy, Stacey. Looks like my signal's a bit up and down. Always is. My router is on. But I'm going to go straight into it because I want to make a t-shirt. And then I thought, hi Kathy. I thought I am going to just turn the camera on while I sew. Could be messy. My room's definitely messy. But I'm just going to crack on with it. I'm going on holiday in a couple of weeks and I thought today, bit of selfish sewing, no jobs. I'm not doing job sewing. Yesterday you saw me birthing this bag, which doesn't have a name yet, ready for a November pattern release. And I did the little demo on doing the little labels. Hi Stacey. And today I just thought, because I want to get like into the habit of doing more of these types of things, ready for what I've got planned for October, which I'm going to tell you more about. Okay, so again, Stacey, Kathy, you already know, so I apologise. But if you are happy for me to send you an email with news, offers, that kind of thing, Stacey, can you just drop me a message or however you want to get in touch with me with your email address? That would be cool if I've got consent to keep that. In the meantime, so what I'm doing today is, so I'm going on holiday in a couple of weeks' time. And I am going to make myself a t-shirt today, just a standard vanilla t-shirt that I can wear, you know, during the day or whatever. Hi Kiara. Kiara, off your phone. Off your phone. She's at work, everybody. Everybody else, please tell her, get off your phone. You're at work. So I'm going to make a t-shirt. It's one I've made a couple of times. I haven't made it in ages, so it doesn't sort of trip off the tongue how to make it, but at the same time I'm not picking up my instructions. I'm just gonna go with it. It'll be fine, whatever. But I'm working with a stripe, so I thought I'd have a bit of a chat about how I'm gonna work around that for pattern matching as well. Sorry if it's, you know, how to do this kind of thing, but I'll show you anyway. The pattern that I'm making, it's a free pattern, okay, so please go take a look at it. It's by a company called French Navy. Helen's watching. Hi Helen. The company's called French Navy Patterns and the t-shirt's called Stellan. It's nice because it's got a reinforced neckband at the back. You know, it's something that nobody sees. But it's really good in terms of like that longevity of an item. You don't have to put it in. That's up to you. And I haven't quite decided yet whether I'm going to put it in or not. I'll see how the sewing goes first. And like I say, I can't really remember which order I do this in, but if I keep it as a standard regular kind of t-shirt, I can make this no problem. French Navy Patterns, it's called Stellan t-shirt. It's got like a high-low hem, which is quite nice. So at the front, it kind of curves up, then it goes up and around and down. So the back is just a little bit longer. So it's kind of a nice make, really. Not too many pattern pieces. Let me get them so I can tell you. I've just kind of thrown them over here. So we've got a front on the fold, we've got a back on the fold, 2 sleeves, and then we have got neck binding, and then we have got that back neck reinforcement. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of fabric to put together with our 2 sleeves. 6 pieces of fabric together. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to crack straight on. I am not going to be pinning today. It's Sunday, I don't care. So, you know, But I mean, this is not best advice. This is just the way I do things sometimes, just for a bit of speed. I'm going to go straight in with my back panel piece. I've got my stretch fabric on the fold. Let me just put that way a little bit more. Like I say, I'm not messing around with cameras. You see what you can see, and that'll be it. Yeah, I mean, it's white against folded fabric. I've got the stripes facing upwards, so my folded edge here. So this edge here is on the fold, so I just need to place it against the fold of the fabric. Helen, I hope you're taking notes and you are going to want lessons after this, please. Thank you. Or alternatively, Kiara could start taking a sewing machine to work, so when you've got no customers in, she can have you make one. How does that sound? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay this against the edge. Now what I'm going to do, because I need to make sure at some point these stripes down here match as best as possible. We're doing this live, so no pressure on myself. So what I'm going to do is, oh excuse me, I need to think about where the points of these pattern pieces are going to come together and meet. And that's at the armpit, this bit just here. So I'm going to make sure that wherever I place this piece, the armpit falls straight on the cut off of the line between the purple and the white. It's like a lilac colour actually. So I'm going to place it, and it's going to fall at the bottom of the purple stripe. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of my smaller rulers. If you've got paper weights, use those, fabric weights. I have a video on how to manage slippy fabrics, and I do this the same way. Just take my 2 rulers and I'm going to lay one down, and I'm not going to mess with it, keep it still. This one I'm going to take to the bottom and turn it the other way around, so it's making it pretty damn flat. And then I'm going to go straight in and cut out. So all I need to remember is that piece of armhole needs to fall at the bottom of the purple. Now I can use this ruler to guide me along. So what is, it's about 2 millimeters away from the edge, so that it's making sure that the fabric goes flat down at that point. Otherwise it kind of bounces because it's not pinned, obviously. So as I go, I'm stopping there and then I'm tipping it, sliding it along, and it will just follow along. My blade's nice and sharp, so I'm not going to have any problems. The only problem I'm going to have is that my 2 boards, because I've got 2 cutting boards together, will start as a little gap, which I shouldn't have. But it can sometimes not cut across that area, but I just get that with a pair of scissors. Let me get those. I try and think what I need in advance, but it never comes to fruition. So I'm going to go about a centimetre beyond that cut. And the reason why I'm going to do that is so that I can take this piece of fabric and push it right out of the way. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and cut in that direction all the way up. Now you're not going to be able to see this because the camera angles. So, and my hand will get in the way. So I've cut up a short slit there, and now I'm going to fold that back. Let me just trim that slightly. So I folded it back, and I'm going to hold the ruler so it's created a tuck, and that'll allow me to go straight in quite nice and sharply and go all the way up. Now I'm moving my left hand up now to make it flat. So that's all now cut, and I've gone 1 centimetre beyond again, because then I can just push that away, thus making sure I've cut properly. If I haven't, then I'll just use my scissors, but we are not moving this piece of fabric anywhere. I'm just going to tip that just that way slightly, and now I'm going to move myself up here, and I'm going to go in at the neck edge now and start cutting all the way up and around, thus pushing that out of the way. Just move my ruler so it's up and close, and I'm going to cut straight across, pull it out of the way, and I'm going to go straight down, and then we have got our back fabric piece all ready for sewing. So now all I've got to do is make sure that this other panel, which is the front, that armhole, this bit touches the bottom of a purple edge. So let me just fiddle around a minute and change the camera angle as I just slide my fabric upwards. This fabric, in case you wish to know, it's by Craft Cotton Company, but it's part of the Tilly and the Buttons range. So I've used the range before, striped fabric, and ironically they're the t-shirts I've just got rid of as a bit of a tidy up sort out. Now it needs to be at the bottom of a purple stripe, I said. Now ironically, and how annoying, if I get this right at the edge of the purple, I'm going to be short by about 1/2 centimetre. So I've got a choice. I either go to the top end and redo it, or I deal with it later. And actually I know what I'm going to do. So this is how I'm going to resolve it, because I'm not messing around with fabric up there. I'm going to cut it so this placement's correct here, and then this, the shape doesn't alter because remember it's high-low. All I need to do is make sure that this edge here stays put. So I can actually taper it upwards to the shorter cut, and I will get the fabric out of this piece no problem. So let me just, yeah, so it was there. I love problem solving sometimes, it's a bit of fun. So there we go, that's on the edge. So I'll do the bottom edge first. Can you all see okay? Let me know, please, in case I need to do anything. So yeah, I'm going to, I could cut off the edge, but I won't because I want to retain this for later on. I'm just going to manufacture it and freehand it. That didn't cut quite right there, so I'll go back in with the scissors to sharpen it up. Oh no, it did cut it, we're fine. And then I'm going to, as before, just fold that backwards so I can cut this long edge here. Slide that one across and change the angle here. If there's bits you can't see, I apologise. I don't want to spend all of my time messing with cameras rather than actually getting on with sewing. So I folded that edge back again so that I can go straight up this long edge here all the way up, folding that back again, and then let's just tip that way. Husband's home and he's probably going to come out because he doesn't know I'm doing this, so let's hope he doesn't say anything inappropriate. And then we're just going to do this edge here, going over the two mats again, so I will have to cut that. There we go. Trim that away, throw it into the scrap bucket. So let me show you what I mean now then. Oh, I just need to do my notches quickly. That's for the placement later on of the sleeves. Oh, there's not one on this piece. Okay, so what we've now got to quickly show you, so if you want to tune out at this point, at least you'll know how to have done this. When these join here, oh, I'll be so annoyed if I've done this wrong. Yeah, spot on. Look, they all meet perfectly, so that's good. And hopefully the bottom hem has met as well. It does. There we go. So then it'll just be about pinning it to make sure it's really super neat. So now I just need to do my sleeves as the next priority area. I've only got a small amount of fabric, so I've got to be really careful here. I'm going to pop those two pieces away, and when I say away, over there. And yeah, so it'd be nice to have two sleeves that are matching in terms of where the stripes are. There we go. So let me see if I fold this straight over on the fold, if it's wide enough. The fabric's quite wide. So I'll just quickly place it. It is, that's perfect. Let me bring this down. There we go. Right, so I just need to quickly flap this about to make sure that the folds are perfect. So there's loads of ways you can make sure that your lines are matching, but I just kind of look from the top down as much as anything. There's a little stain in the fabric. I'm glad I've noticed that now, because I can work around it. So I'm just kind of watching the stripe come down against the other piece. Doesn't need to be totally spot on, just as good as I can get it really. That will do. And now I need to work out how to avoid this little stain. It'll be fine. It will be fine. So the stain's right here. Look at that, spot on. Loads of room. You can go up there. Okay. So similarly, I'm not going to pin this. All I'm going to do is make sure that the bottom edge of the sleeve, so that bottom edge there, goes straight across one of the stripes. So we don't want to waste, so I'll go close to the top. It might look like I won't have much fabric left, but whatever I do, I could make a pair of pants out of it. That'd be alright, won't it? So I'll just lay that there. Ruler to keep it in place. And we will cut that away. I think there's only you watching, Stacey. How bizarre. It must be this weather putting people off. Unless everybody's having lay-ins today. I didn't go to bed till midnight last night. Dirty stop out. Well, stop out. I was in the garden. In a similar way, I'm just going to cut around this. I need to make sure I cut my notches in to the sleeve head so that I can match those up with the, hi Dave, with the front and the back when they're all put together. So yeah, it's an important part of the process, this bit. That's 2 sleeves done. Seam allowance of 1/4 millimetre included. That's very little, something to watch out for, because normally it would be either a centimetre. I would say that more international it's a centimetre, but UK is definitely 1.5. So yeah, this is 1/4 inch, so watch out for that. Great t-shirt though. This fabric's quite nice and stable. Oh, all hung over. Good lord. That's okay, don't worry Kathy. You can always watch it later or whatever. Just make note though of the pattern being free. Really worth knowing, isn't it? So the neck binding. So what I could do if I didn't want to do that back strengthening bit. Actually, did this go all the way around? Can't remember. No, that must be just for the front. Can't remember how I made it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the whole neckline, and because I'm not sure how long it needs to be, I'm going to work it out as I go. I'd love to tell you how I'm going to work it out, but for now I'm going to cut it the width of this, but I'll just do the total length that I've got, and then I'll stretch it to fit, and then I'll sew off the ends. So it's 1 3/4. I think I might have it in a nice purple stripe. 1 3/4. It actually works out 1/4 inch either side of the purple stripe. Was the hangover worth it, Kathy? So when you say you've got home, like on a plane got home, or got home because you've been on an all-nighter, might be worth just confirming that. So I'm assuming there'll be no sewing today either, Kathy. Right, so that's that. And then I've got a big piece of spare pants galore. So yeah, this will be my neck piece, which is far too long. Okay, so now in t-shirt making, what we can sometimes do as well is add a bit of ribbon or stabiliser across the shoulders. If you were to buy a top from somewhere like Primark or Next or wherever, they don't generally do this, but it really makes your t-shirts last a long time. So I think it's worth doing this stage. what I'm trying to think is where I put my tape. So I'm just going to have a little route around and try and find something just to pop in, because Kiara keeps tidying up in here, so I don't know where things have gone sometimes. It's a bit of a pain. Right, I found something, people. So here we go. This is it, some stabiliser tape. It's a fusible one, so that's quite good. So what I'm going to do is grab a little iron, pop it on. How are you, Chris? How's Holly? So Chris, please tell people who Holly is. Apart from the most beautifulest. So, iron's on. All of the tools out of the way. I'm going to reach for my back panel next. So that's the longest one of the two, isn't it? And if you're never sure, it's always the one that's got sort of like the least shallow neckline. So what I'm going to do is on here, let me go that way. I'm going to take my stabiliser tape. She's beautiful. She's your baby. Stabiliser tape, let me cut a piece off and then I will come in closer. It's a bit like interfacing really. So it's got glue on one side here and I'm going to fuse it to the wrong side of the fabric, and you would fuse it sort of inside the seam allowance. It said 1/4 inch seam allowance, but I'm going to sew with 1 because I don't care, and I'm pretty sure I sewed with 1 before. So we just do that across both shoulders. This will extend the wear of your t-shirt by probably a couple of years, quite frankly. That's how good it is doing this process. I'm going to fuse this into place, and then it wasn't quite long enough there, but it's fine. I'm going to trim the ends off, and then we're going to sew the front of the t-shirt to the back of the t-shirt. Now, when you're sewing with jersey fabric, t-shirting fabric if you like, it's up to you how you do this, as in what machine. You can use an overlocker and you can go directly to the overlocker, or you can use a narrow zigzag stitch on your sewing machine. I am going to, why did I put that t-shirt panel? I threw it on the scrap panel, on the scrap pile. I'm going to, how shall I do this? I'm thinking so heavily, because if you go direct to the overlocker, that's fine. But again, I don't think it gives longevity to the item. So I'm thinking about the quality of the fabric, do I want it to last a long time, and all those sorts of things. And what I've decided is I actually do want it to last a long time. So I'm going to do both. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sew it, narrow zigzag, and then I'm going to take it to the overlocker and then sew it again. And I will show you what that does. Right now I'm just putting my two pieces of fabric right sides together, and I'm lining up the shoulder seams and I'm pinning them. I'm pinning it vertically, because then the fabrics won't shift, or they shouldn't be shifting. And then I'm going to take you to the sewing machine. This is where things might start getting messy, so please, please, please bear with me. Just unplug there. Don't really know why I plugged it in, to be fair. And of course, this is where you probably are going to see lots of hands. So let's just try and sort this out quickly. Move some bits and bobs out of the way. Bear with, bear with, bear with. So sewing machine on. And I am going to set my machine to a zigzag, which I've actually not done on this machine yet. So it wants to be on a number 7, I think. But it wants to be a narrow zigzag. So I'm going to reduce the width of the zigzag. It's showing me on the screen what it's going to look like. That's cool. and I want sort of the stitch length to be quite long now. So it's starting to look like a lightning bolt. I'll show you on the screen actually. Can you see there? So it's showing me that this is what it's going to look like. Narrow zigzag. And let's see if I can sew. Oh, sorry, if I do that. Right, so now I'm going to sew at 1 centimetre seam allowance. And I am going to put my needle down. I'm going to sew forward, and then I'm going to reverse backwards just to lock that stitching and go forwards again. I haven't sewn jersey at all on this machine yet, so I'll be interested to see how it behaves for me. It's pushing it a little bit, which I don't really want, so let me just make that longer. No, it won't do that. Oh no, that's apparently the longest it will go. I think that's what it's telling me. Right, okay. Reversing at the end again, and then I'm going to cut that off to complete it, and then I'm going to repeat at this end. And speed up a little bit. And then we need to iron this, well, when it's been overlocked as well. So now I'm going to turn you around again so that you can see the overlocker working. Ta-da! Ta-da! There we go. So the overlocker, so at the minute what we've got is this row of stitching here. Now the overlocker is going to trim all of this seam allowance down a little bit, but it's also going to wrap stitching around the edge here. And again, this will make sure it lasts into the future. It's not going to fray, it's not going to look messy or anything like that. I may need to change some of the settings when I've sewn. No, that looks good to me actually. I might just make the stitching wider. It's quite narrow at that. And we'll take that one off. There we go. And can you see? So if you just have a look at your own clothing now, you'll see the stitching is probably on it, making it long lasting and hard wearing. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly press this open, and with the seam allowances going towards the back neckline, and then we'll be looking to make the neck banding. Right, what are you saying to me, Kiara? Tina's doing a raffle and lucky stars box number thing, and me and my nanny have bought some tickets, but it's on Tuesday night. Would you be able to bring me, please? On Tuesday night? Well, how will that work, Kiara, when you've got to go home? We will talk later. Right. I'm going to carry on with the real life stuff conversations as we sew, because this is real life. Ooh, wobble wobble. So that's my sleeve. So yeah, here's my top. So I'm just going to very quickly press that seam away from the front of the t-shirt. Now I think if I'd put that neck reinforcement on before this was joined, I think I would have attached it to the back panel. I really should go away and put my computer on and read those instructions again. But just try to get on with it. Here's my other son. So now I need to work out how big to make this neckband. Now I've cut it already. You alright, Hayden?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Have you spoken to Dad about stuff in the garage?
I haven't spoken to Dad about stuff in the garage, no.
Okay.
So I'm just going to roughly work this out on how long it wants to be, but we also need to stretch it just a little bit, but I'm not going to stretch it a lot. So I'm just going to work it around. I've left 1 centimetre at the other end as overhang for joining it up. Ooh, there we go, there we go, there we go. All the way along, all the way back. It's about there. That will do. If it's not right, I will take it on the gym. Okay, now what do we do? Because I haven't done this in so long. What we're going to do is we're going to join those short ends together here. So I'm going to quickly do that at the sewing machine, and I'm not going to move you. Bear with. Yes, love?
Do you know what Dad is?
He's gone down to Marshall's Yard, he won't be long.
Okay.
Right, so what I'm going to do next... Sorry, Hayden, yeah?
Did he say what the chocolate things are?
Oh, I didn't ask him, actually.
Oh.
So here's a neckband. I'm now going to press that seam open. We're on live, Hayden.
Okay.
And then, all the way around, I'm going to press it wrong sides together. Like so. To form a neckband. I'm going to iron it as I go. To keep it nice and sharp. I like doing neckbands. They can be fiddly. They can be a bit awkward. But I just like them. I haven't done one in ages like this. Just keep those raw edges together. All the way around. Just keeping those long edges meeting as we go. And then we have to make it fit into the neckline. So I will show you how we do that to make sure it's even. Okay. So the first thing we have to do is we have to make this so it's got quarters. So we're turning it into quadrants basically. So I've got my joined up edge there, folding it, and I'm going to pull it flat. So that's right on the edge there, which means I can smooth it down. So there's one of my pinch points here. So I'm just going to cut a tiny nick out like that. Then I'm going to take that pointy bit there and I'm going to make it match that joint end there, which means that if I smooth my fingers along here, I've got a new quadrant here. Smooth it along here, snip there, and we've got a quadrant again, which is great. That's prepared, but the neckline is not. So now we need to do the same with this. So I am going to open it up like so, and I'm going to put it shoulder to shoulder so that I've got this curve here, and I'm going to take out a little snip here and a little snip here, and then I'm going to bring it back together again, but I'm going to make that little V at the front match the V at the back. I'm going to smooth those edges around, and that will give me my little quarter point just there. It normally falls just behind the shoulder. That's how it normally works anyway. So, Danielle's at Abercan today. She's been shopping. Jealous. Right, she's just messaging me. She's one of my testers, pattern testers. Right, so now what we need to do is make the quarters of the binding match the quarters of the neckline. So I'm going to open it up flat again, like so. I might just tip this down a bit more. we've got to make all of this match. So it's all about pins this stage. Right, so this is the back of the neckline. So the bit where it joins, I'm going to put all the raw edges together and pin it. I'm going to pin either side to make sure it doesn't shift. Then I'm going to go to the front neckline here, get those V's, and I'm going to make those match there. And I'm going to pin it. A couple of pins, keep it nice and firm. Go to the sides and go to the V's and pin it. And then, mind blowing I know, we're going to take the last V and make that match over there. And then what we have to do is pin all the way around to make it fit. Now, if I was at home on my own without you guys, I would be machine sewing this first and then I'd take you to the overlocker, but for speed I'm going to take you straight to the overlocker on this occasion. So I have to stretch in between each little point here and then pin to hold it. So on this quarter here, see how it doesn't fit there? We give it a little stretch so it pulls, and then I'm going to bring the edge up till they all meet there. And at the halfway point, I'm going to pop a little pin in. Husband's home, eating food. Hi. Did you get what you needed?
I'm not speaking. You're on camera.
Yeah, we're live. That's what we're doing. Getting his bottom out instead. Ah dear, boys will be boys. And I'm going to show you how we sew a neckline in a continuous circle with a really neat finish at the end. Okay, let's go back to the overlocker. Dun, dun, dun. I will read your message in a bit, Kiara, with you. But, miss, but. Right, I'm going to keep you right on the overlocker now, and I'm going to twist it as much as I can. Right, so the machine's ready. I am going to lift the fabric, so I've got all my fabric on the left hand side, and I'm going to lift the foot of the overlocker. In one of these gaps here, I'm going to slide it under the foot and I'm going to lift the needle, sorry, so the needle's lifted, the foot's lifted, and I've gone under as far as I can. Okay, and I'm going to start cutting, and we're going to go all the way around until we're about 1 inch from the other end. I am going to focus a little bit more. Remember to pull just a little bit as we go. I'm taking off the very edge. The danger of doing it straight away this way is that we might have a little tuck somewhere, but I'm going to go with that. I'm going to be quiet for the minute. Don't go through those pins, please. We're just going to keep bringing that fabric around a bit at a time, keeping the stretch nice and even. Can you see how I'm doing this? Just a little bit at a time. We're nearly back at the start. And I really want to show you how we sew in the round with a really lovely finish. So we are now about 1 inch away in terms of where the blade is. Now, have you ever found that when you sew in a continuous circle, you tend to cut off the threads and then you sort of whip it off and it kind of overlaps like that, and it's quite scruffy. I hate it. What I do is I drop down the blade. So I'm going to disengage the blade and put everything back up again. and I'm going to cut off the start tail, and I'm going to continue to sew, and I'm going to overlap. I've now overlapped, but because I've disengaged the blade, it's not cutting the stitching that I did right at the start. My needle's now up. Now I'm going to lift my foot up so that I can push the fabric back out of the way, and now I'm going to sew again to create a chain. Because we've overlapped, I can just cut that off, and this is a super, super neat finish in the round. And then we can just go back in and pop that blade up quickly so it's ready for next time. Back to the desk. So who knew that tip? Who didn't? I know you're going to be watching on replay, so still let me know. Have you learned something new there? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to check my neckline, and I'm going to press the seam allowance down towards the body of the t-shirt. I kid you not, it is spot on. Do you want to add a clothing label in now? Quite a nice time to do that. Let me just lift you a second so I can show off that neckline. Really lovely finish, really smart. You can obviously go in around the edge here with a twin needle or a single needle and stitch it. If it's single, you're going to need to do a zigzag. If it's twin needle, then 2 rows of straight stitching because it will zigzag on the back. This is lovely and flat, to be honest, so I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to leave it as is. Crazy. Right, I'm now going to add in the sleeves. Right, so 2 of these, so I'm going to talk you through one, and then I'm going to smash in the second. And I think I'm going to go straight to the overlock again with this as well. So I'm going to open it back up again, so it's still one big flat piece of fabric, and I've got the arm ski area here. One's got a notch, one has not. Okay, so what we do is we find the sleeve that's got the one notch on this side, and it is not this one. So that's not the one I want. It's this one here. So if I was to lay it down as though it were inserted, let's see if I can do that. Oh, there we go. I can see I've got a notch there and I've got a notch there, and they need to match. And then I've got the center one there that will match the shoulder seam here. So I'm going to flip it. And I'm going to make that center seam line up, and then I'm going to pin it. Then I'm going to take that marking and I'm just going to pull it up and around, and I'm going to pin it. It's a 3D shape, so it will feel awkward. I'm now going to take the end and I'm going to make that match the end here. Pin it to hold. We also do the same over here. There's no notch mark on this one for some reason, but normally there would be. So I'm going to go straight to the end. Those side edges are going to kind of meet there, but that's a good starting point. It's going on the overlocker with. So I'm just going to pin it. And then we've got all of this area to meet. So the easiest way to do it is just give it a gentle pull, lay it flat, use your fingers as pins to go to a center area. And I'm just teasing the fabrics out nice and flat so that I can get the raw edges to meet. When I've done that, I'm going to pop a pin in to hold. I'm going to put 2 further pins in, one here and one here, to really help, but it's starting to fall into place now. Getting hungry. Always hungry when I'm on here. I'm just shuffling it along, and I will pop that in, and then I'm going to do the same on this side too, shimmying the fabrics downwards, and then I'm going to go to the overlocker and I'm going to stitch all the way around. So we're going to be stitching a curve now, so that's going to feel slightly awkward and maybe it puts you off. So let's see if I can help with that a little bit. So remember, everything's engaged. Must work to keep these seams from rolling. We don't want that at all. And we don't want any tugs. So nice and flat against the deck. lift the toe up so it's in just ever so slightly, and very slowly just nibble into the edge. That's what I mean there. Just a little bit to get going, and then stop, pause. Now I'm just going to pull this bottom fabric out a little bit, and I'm going to use my finger like it's a pin to help it through. Remember, mine's a quarter inch seam allowance, so I'm only going to take the very, very edge off. I'm going to take that pin out, but as I take the pin out, these 3 fingers are going to take over and hold. It's making sure everything stays together, but it's also feeling to make sure we're smooth so there's no ripples. I'm going to keep moving my fabric around so it's working straight, because this is a curve and this is how we get around the curves. So take the pin out, 3 fingers are holding it together, and it's just nudging the fabric across so it sits straight with the edge just here. So just keep checking all the time that things are smooth. Now we're going to go around the sleeve head now, so this very top part of your shoulder where the biggest curve is. So nice and slowly up and around. See, now we've got loads of fabric here, got to be really careful. So push it out of the way, pull it over so it's straight, fingers as pins. Smooth, fingers as pins. Off we go. I'm hoping you can see enough there. There we go, and we're nearly at the end. And if my day went well, when I open this up, there will be no tucks. Straight off the end and trim. And then we can just quickly assess the work. So I just make sure it's falling and it's nice and neat. No tucks. Lovely. Although I've missed just a little bit there. So something must have slipped somewhere. It's fine. So I'm going to use the same sort of method as before with that circle and just sew that bit again. Let me show you. So because it's only a short way in, I'm just going to sew that bit again. In fact, yeah, we're going to drop the blade, so I don't want to cut any more fabric off. It's like doing a little repair this, but I just need to be in a little bit more. There we go. So there we go. It's gone far enough and off. And that's sorted that little mishap out, hopefully. Nice and tidy. So now what I'm going to do is quickly pin the second sleeve head. I'm not going to move the camera, you'll just have to look at my bum, I'm afraid. Trying to be quick for you, but at the same time you don't want to compromise the amount of pins you're putting in. Now when we've done this, what we can do is we can go straight to pinning the sides together, and then it will just be about hemming. Can you believe that? T-shirt shouldn't take you too long to make, really. I always think about an hour is good. I know people say, oh, I did it in half an hour or whatever, but it's not a race either. Is it, love? It's not a race. Life isn't a race.
No.
No.
It's a journey.
It's a journey. It's a destination.
What time is it?
I'll see you later. See you in a bit. It's going out. Is that enough? Right. Sorry about that. I only just started watching. Hi, Gainer. Oh, so yeah, this pattern, you're going to love this one, Gainer, because it's got some of my most favourite words in it. Free. It's a free pattern. It's by French Navy. and it's called the Stellan tea, so Stella with an N on the end, Stellan tea. It's really lovely because it's got a couple of things in it. It's got a reinforcement strip across the back of the neckline, which I've chosen not to put in. Massive fly in here. Oh, and it's got like a dipped high-low hem. Oh, bless you. Yeah, come along, Dave, see how you get on. So it's got like a, at the front, it kind of goes, ooh, how do I show it? Like, well, from the side profile, it's doing that. So it's really nice, actually. I have made this where I've just cut it straight as well. If you don't want that aggravation of dealing with a curved hem, yeah, I've cut it straight across. I've made it so it's a bit more cropped. So it doesn't talk about those variations, but yeah. So yeah, it's just downloadable off the internet. French navy. There's loads of patterns out there. I came across one today, actually, that I want to have a look at for this fancy dancy dress. From, I think it's from Mood. And if you've not heard of Peppermint Patterns, have a look at them. They do lots of free patterns as well. There's all these resources out there. It's great, isn't it, really? Oh, you make it look easy. Bless you. I try. I mean, I'm not trying to make it look easy. I'm just trying to give you hints and tips. So we're doing the second one now. Did I re-engage that blade? I did not. So let's pop the blade back up. We're just going to do this one again, which I will crack on with if you don't mind. And let's see if I can manage to not get any tucks on this one. Does anybody want to see me sewing in a label? Or is that not very interesting? You can watch it again, yes. Of course you can, my love. It will be here. I also did a live on YouTube for the first time yesterday. There were, get this, no watchers, but I haven't done it before, so that's absolutely fine. But I did save it. What was the video of? I can't even remember now. It wasn't the labels. What did I do yesterday afternoon? I think it's when I finished off a bag gainer. So it's I was showing the very standard go-to method for bag makers on how to bring your bag together and then birth it at the end. And actually, at the time it was like, oh no, it's not going right. It did give me a hassle over those really bulky areas, but I did show you how to get around it, so probably handy. Although I did go back and use my hump jumper, which, do you know what a hump jumper is? Does anybody want to know what a hump jumper is? Hump jumper. So, just going to check this armhole. Do you know I've done it again? Can you believe it? Look, it's because things are shifting and I'm talking. So I'm just going to disengage the blade. It's just missed a little bit. See, it happens to the best of us. Yeah, do. Please do go and have a look, Gainer. So I'm just going to sew this bit again. So again, needles up on your machine, foot up just for a minute. I know the golden rule is don't lift your foot, but you know, do. And I'm just going to work in that seam allowance just a little bit more just to catch that little hole. But it's not going to be cutting anything. Let me just check that again now. Yeah, there we go. That's the shoulder, the sleeve, all put it. Blow me! What's actually going on? Davey said I'm making this look easy. I'm making it look easy if you want to do it wrong. Well, right, I'll just get back in there again. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to teach you, Dave. How to fix your mistakes. Earlier on though, I was saying about the benefits, or you know, when we choose to work with an overlock or whether we choose to work with a sewing machine. And I did say, to be honest with you, I generally do both. I follow both processes because in this instance there would have been no errors, and if I'd used a sewing machine, but the overlocker would have just finished off the process instead. But in the way I'm making it right now, I'm looking to do it for it to do everything. And yeah, that's obviously, I've got little holes, but I mean they're fixed and it's perfectly tidy. If you look at the inside, you can't actually tell I've had to do a fix because I showed you the method of disengaging the blade, which I'll quickly pop back up again. So, you know, yeah, I'm making some mistakes, but I'm also showing you how to deal with that. I'm just going to move you back to the desk quickly. Sorry for the wobbles again. And just for my own benefit, I'm going to quickly press that sleeve head. And I'm going to reach for my hand. And I use it. It's brilliant to see others make mistakes. Oh, thank you. It's a strange compliment, but thank you. Because you're right, you know, and yesterday I made a mistake and I had to deal with that. Basically, I'm a rubbish teacher, Dave. Basically, that's what's going on here. We're looking to set the seam allowance, this being the seam allowance, down towards the sleeve. So I'm just going to press that. So thank you, Gamer. My dress is, so a bit about this dress. Let me show you. Oops. This stand is a bit loose today. This is it. It's quite a short one. It's got pockets. It is the Tilly and the Buttons Lyra dress, this one. I normally have the buttons all the way done up, but it's a bit hot. And the fabric is, now it's up to you how you pronounce this, Lady McElroy or Lady McElroy. It is a nice fabric. It is a cotton, not a... No, it's not a cotton lawn, it's a cotton. I'm sure it's just a cotton. And I like to wear it. It's very cool to wear it. So I'm just giving this a quick press. If you've got any questions, just throw them my way. Just work my way around there. When this has had its first wash, it'll be quite nice as well. It sort of always softens things a little bit, doesn't it, I find? I'm not going to spend too much time on that because it doesn't really matter. I think in the pattern, if you follow it, the next step they would do is actually, I can't remember, I think they hem the sleeves now rather than at the end. It has a deep hem as far as I recall. But I'm not going to do that. And then what they do is they join the sides and they do like a little tuck under here and they stitch it. Something like that anyway. It really doesn't matter how you finish it off. Okay. Right, so then we need to bring the sides together. Yeah, it is. It's very much Vicky's style. She does like her Lady McElroy. She's only in Lincoln, you know. She's a friend of mine. There we go. So now we're going to join these side seams. Now, if you watch the video from the start of this was all about how I go about making the sides match. Now, the important thing just to mention here is that I'm totally self-taught. I haven't been for any lessons or anything like that. I think I've only been socially sewing once. No, I've been to Fabric Corner in Lincoln, I think it's twice, for a social sew, not a lesson, just to get away from here and sew somewhere else. So everything I know is totally and utterly self-taught. So it might not be the way, but it's my way and it works. This is in my hands. You'll see it right back at the start of the video. I use this in the shoulder seams of my stretched t-shirts. If I do anything that's stretched, if it's like a slightly stretchy dress or a jumper, I always use this stuff. It's like very narrow interfacing. You can buy it with a bit of stretching if you want. I've just got this. I think I've got it off the internet somewhere. And you basically fuse it to your shoulder seam. And it makes your item really long term to wear. Because what it does is when you put your sleeve on, whether you know it or not, your sleeve kind of pulls like this. And that can distort shape. I mean, if you look at some t-shirts, you'll notice that you put it through the wash, it doesn't last, all that stops that from happening. So it's really, really good. And I also show you, like I say, how to make sure your stripes all match. So right side to right side now. We're then going to be pinning the underarm of the sleeve and all the way down the side. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to go, let's have a look at this closely together and show you how we're going to pin now. First thing we need to do is make sure that the underarm seam matches and they'll sort of nestle together. Get those raw edges to match and we're going to pin. Pin so it's going in the fabric that way. So not like this all the way down, but that way. When we work with stretch fabrics, we always pin that way. Then we're going to be looking to match up these stripes. I'm just going to stretch it ever so slightly because it's like a couple of millimeters out. And then I'm going to pin on that stripe start. And I'm going to put another one there. Now I'm not going to be doing this all the way down, but if you were being pedantic, then you could effectively do that. You could pin at every single stripe. I mean, these are nice and wide. This is a Tilly in the Buttons fabric from the very first range she ever did, and it is produced by Craft Cotton Company. I'm just going to skip on a couple and I'm going to pin, and then I'll go to the sleeve and I will do there as well, under the sleeve, and then I will flip my fabric and do the other side. And again, we will take this straight to the overlocker. So I think it's just ever so slightly out there, so I'll just make sure it fits and meets. Has everybody had lunch? And if so, can you tell me what you had so that you can inspire me? Is it easy with the stripe fabric? Good God, no. No! Are you on cocaine, Gainer? I'm on cocaine for using it. So you see, so we're working there, but now I've flipped it to work on this side. That's to make sure that when I'm at the overlocker, I'm always working from the top down. So if it stretches or distorts, it stretches and distorts in the same direction. That is really, really, really important. Okay? It was really unnecessary what I just said. I'm so sorry. Ow. Sorry about that, Gainer. No, working with stripes can be a bit of a bugger. But, you know, I do like a Breton stripe though. I got rid of 2 t-shirts. I filled up bags today from my wardrobe. Loads and loads of clothes to get rid of to the charity shop. And a couple of those were striped stretch t-shirts in Tilly in the Buttons fabrics. And here I am replacing them. My son said, I don't understand you. You've just spent all this time getting rid of stuff to immediately make stuff. I don't think he understands. When you go on holiday, you just feel like you need something new, don't you, when you're back? I think this will be quite nice because it's not a negative ease t-shirt. If anybody wants to know what negative ease means, tell me. Grazing board. Oof. You're so posh, Gainer. I'm going to sew that now at the overlocker. Tell me what's on your grazing board, please. Right, let's go here. So our blade is engaged. It's funny because it tells me that only one person's watching, but I don't think that is the case. I'm going to go straight under. We've got a slight angle to work with. And I am going to take off a few mil of fabric there. I'm going to sew with the blade up to where that little angle is. And then I'm going to pull my fabric across, just ever so slightly. And it straightens it back up. I'm going to take the pins out just before I'm about to cut. So can you see how close my pin is there? It's all about control here. I'm at the shoulder seam. Move your fabric across. You're aiming to keep this part of your fabric as straight as possible to this bit of the machine. Up and over and down. When your fabric comes out the other side, if you find like it does like this wavy thing, it means that your fabric's getting stretched, and then you've got these dials on the side of your machine. I'll show you in a second, and you can change that and it takes a bit of tension off, thus stops it from stretching out. And now we're coming to the angle here. I don't actually really like it, if I'm honest with you. I will go with that. So see how I just pulled that across? that manage the angle. Okay, and now I'm going to flip it, just like we did at the table. So my pins are at the top. And we go in. Little angle first. Now there, I've just used my pin as like a little tool to help push it through because it just wasn't quite grabbing. Just make sure you keep it away from the blades. Some people use like an oar. I've no idea how long I've been live for. I'm sorry if this is boring. So we've got that little angle again, so straighten it out and down. What have you got? You've got a baguette, cheeses, ham, salami, grapes, strawberries, hummus, left over from yesterday. Oh my lord! Sounds amazing. I want somebody to come and make me lunch, please. Thank you. Anybody offering? Right, t-shirt. A la t-shirt. Let's get rid of some of these little threads from the start. And I'm going to turn it through at this stage to have a quick peek. And then, before I show you, I'm just going to quickly iron this side seam. Oof. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I don't mean to show off or anything, but it's bob on. Bob on. Was on that side. Oh, and it is on this side. See, all those pins. You might think it's all boring, but it does pay off, you know. Really does. When I finish this, I will pop a picture on so you can see it on me. I'll maybe go pop some shorts on or something. Because now all that's left to do, oh, let me show you this first. Side seams. How cool is that? So all that's left to do now, I love the Billy sweater. It's lovely. Tilly in the buttons, everybody. It's great. It's a great pattern. Making so many choices, so many sleeves, dress, jumper. I actually did a bit of a review video of that. I don't know whether you've had a look, Gainer. I would highly recommend you go and look at it though, because I talk about adjustments and some really, really important factors you need to take into account with that. And you're a little bit like me, you're a little bit shorter, so you definitely want to have a look at it. Okay. So, t-shirt's done, just needs hem out. So it's just a case. I'm just gonna, can you see how that's kind of gone over there? I'm gonna do a cheat now, and I'm going to, in fact it's just a bit of white, so I'm gonna follow the white line and just cut it off. I'm focusing. That's that gone. And then on YouTube, yeah, I can find the link for you in a bit, no problem. I think then, because I don't need to overlock this, because that's the beauty of the jersey, you don't actually need to, because it won't unravel like a more woven fabric. I can just go straight in, decide on my hem depth and press it under. Now if I'm sensible, I would just use a stripe as a line, which I'm going to, and I'm going to press it, and then I'm going to set up the twin needle, I think, and I'm going to twin needle it. Has anybody done the twin needle method before? Do they need to see it, or shall I end the live? What would you like? I'm happy to do whatever, but I don't want to bore you, quite frankly. I'll go over and just do the other side. And then press that up. Really wide hem on the sleeve. Be nice. Not yet, please show it. I don't know what that means. Does that mean you do want to see the twin needle? haven't used the twin needle on my new machine, but then I hadn't used a jersey, had I? So if it goes wrong, we'll do it together. If it's easy, easy as mud. Well, I'm going to do it. It's just a case whether you want me to watch me do it. So I've just pressed that. Like I say, I went for the easy method and just chose the white stripe. I'm only putting a couple of pins in just to make sure it stays put. Tell you what I'll do. The hemline, I'm going to do it in exactly the same way. So I won't bother ironing it yet. I'll go straight to the machine. I'm just going to unplug the iron. And like I say, talk to yourself, talk amongst yourselves, because I just need to set this up a little bit. Right, I need another white thread. Oh, God, that. Ooh. You know I mentioned that fly? It's about bloody dead. Ugh. White thread. Right, okay. I don't have a second white thread, so I'm going to show you how we get around that now, which is fine. We need, basically what you need to have is the twin needle itself and a bottom thread. You could do a straight stitch on a normal machine though, couldn't you? No. In theory, on this t-shirt gainer, you could, because it's more of an oversized t-shirt rather than a negative ease. Again, remind me if you do want a definition of that. But you shouldn't. You should never use a straight stitch with a t-shirting fabric, because if you do, when you put a t-shirt on or anything like that and you sew with a straight stitch, the first little pull, stretch when you put it on your neck, it will go, and that's your thread snapping. You must, if you're working with your sewing machine, use a narrow zigzag stitch. Go back to the start of the video. So, but twin stretch needle looks lovely. I'm going to go with this one. So it's called I'm going to use a ballpoint, but basically what you have is one shank, this being the shank, the bit that goes into the machine under here, but it gives you two needles at the bottom like that. You can get, I mean, this is a ballpoint. I've got one here that is twin stretch. They're all pretty much doing the same thing, but the difference, mainly the reason why I chose this one over this one, is because they have sizes, and this one's 3mm, and that basically is giving me the distance between needle to needle. And actually, if I had one that was even a bit bigger, like a 3.5, I'd probably use that. So I'm just going to take this bobbin out from the bottom, and if I had one ready to go that was in a pale colour, I'd maybe use it, but I don't, so I really do have to do this as it wants. I haven't had much time to play with this machine yet, and I just need to find, you know, your little extra bits. Oh, it can go on there actually, it's fine. It's fine. Right, I need to wind on another bobbin. That's what I'm doing. Don't need much. So I've just got to quickly do that first. Remember when you're winding on your bobbins? Oh, I can give you a little top tip if you like. When you're winding on your bobbins, it likes a bit of speed. I'm just going to reset this. I haven't worked out how to do a quick reset, so I turn it on and off. When you're winding on your bobbins, get it all ready, and then put the end so it's nice and sharp. Get your bobbin. Yeah, it's got these little holes, and those holes are there for a reason. From the inside, in here, you're going to thread it upwards until you've got a tail appear on top. Pull it out, and then, let me just take you over here. You're going to transfer it onto your bobbin, push it across, and hold that thread upwards, nice and vertical, nice and taut, and we're going to start winding. Stop. Now get your snips and cut it off. what that's done is it's made sure that the end of your thread is tightly tucked away, so later on when you're sewing, when you come towards the end of the bobbin usage, it doesn't create nasty knots and problems. It really, really does make a difference. Let's wind on. Right, that should do us. So, I'm going to prepare the machine now. What we want is to pop in that twin needle. So I'm just going to take this jersey needle out. And then we're going to take our needle here, flat side, up into the back of the machine and secure it into place. We now need to have 2 threads coming from the top, so I'm going to hold them together now, yeah, and we're going to follow the threading process all the way down, so across, oops, down, up, locked into place, and down. Right, I now need to understand which is my left thread and which is my right. So, the one that's on the bobbin right over here, not in the normal place basically, that needs to be the right needle. So I'm just going to pull it and see which one turns. Right, so that's not the ones, that's for the left. So, I've got that there, and I'm going to thread it through to the right needle. So last night I had friends come round and one of them got very, very drunk, and that ping then was her saying, and I only saw the first few words, "Oh my God, I'm never drinking again." Until next time. Until next time, I'm just going to use some, if you ever struggle, just get some of these that come with your overlock or whatever and just give it a little thread that way. There we go, and you're straight through. That's pulled through. Make sure it doesn't twist anywhere, as it did there. Oh, blooming heck, it's knotted. Right. You know when it twists around the bottom of the needle? There we go. And to the back. And then this one wants to be for the left needle. We will get there. It doesn't take this long normally to thread and everything. It's just because I'm talking as well. And then under the needle. There we go. So we've got 2 on the top and we've got 1 on the bottom. And as normal, we're going to bring that thread from the bottom up to the top. There we go, that's there. And we are all set to go. Now, I'm going to take this away because we're doing the armholes. And I'm going to give this a nice long stitch length, actually. I'm going to give it a 3.5. I'm going to turn this around just to give you the very best view possible. Okay. And I'm going to start from the underarm. Okay, so where that seam is there. I'm going to thread it through. This new machine, you don't get much space underneath, which is a bit of a pain. Now I know that the edge of the bit I've turned under comes all the way over here. So I'm going to run with that, and I'm going to line up the left hand side of my foot with the bottom of that lilac stripe. Then I know I'm well and truly in, and it'll leave a little bit that's free. Now the only thing you really need to know here is twin needles do not like to be put into reverse. So what do? We don't reverse. All we do is we start sewing around. So that's the threading all the way down as normal. The ones on your far right want to be your right needle. Your normal thread wants to be your left needle. Don't reverse. And we start working around. Here we go. Watch my right hand what it's doing. Can you see? Can you see that? Yeah. Right. So it's actually guiding fabric around, hopefully. Can you see? That's how I do things. I'm going to overlap slightly, and I'm going to cut my threads off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to afterwards get a needle, thread those threads through, push them to the back and tie them off in a triple knot. But that's it. So what happens, gainer, is that is the bobbin thread now, and it's a zigzag because we must have a zigzag somewhere in order to create that stretch that we need. Yeah? So you still have your bobbin underneath, 2 rows of stitching on the top, and you're done. Just don't reverse anywhere in the process. I am just going to finish this last sleeve off, and then I'm going to turn my body around because my son wants me. But I am going to work from the top. So that's the other thing you just need to bear in mind. You need to sew from the top of your fabric. If I was to have this bit underneath the needle, I'm actually going to get 2 rows of stitching on the purple and a horrible zigzag on the white. That's just a learning thing. So right to the edge, watch my right hand again. So that is turning the fabric around, keeping it all moving at a regular speed. So I'm just twisting the fabric, overlaps, and we're done. Snip. So now all I've got left to do is the hem, which I will do afterwards. So I will go and pop this t-shirt on in a minute as soon as it's finished, and you can see how it fits on the body, and you can admire those stitches. That is the child. So I will send you
at Brady0206. Follow me. My Insta.
This is Insta.
Let's just hit me up.
Okay. And then what you can do, just to quickly mention, is I'm sure you're familiar with this, but online you can buy lovely clothing labels that you can just sew in. I've got some from Guthrie Garney, Little Rosy Cheeks, the Lemon Patch. Lemon Patch is local. That's Emma, that's in Lincoln. And you can sew those in onto the top. So for example, this one says, "You do you." I really like that one. And all I would do is on the back, I would take my seam allowance here, that bit there that's been sewn, I would wrap it around like so and run a row of stitches. So I'll do that for you too, so you can see that when it's in as well. In the meantime, thanks for watching. I'm going to send you the links to the YouTube video gainer for Billy. I'm going to send you the YouTube link. I'm going to send you the YouTube link for how to manage slippy fabrics, although this isn't slippy, but it is the same principles I use to cut this out without any pins, and anything else I think that might be useful. Some of you are just coming in now, so just quickly to add, that's my son. It's a normal day. This is life. If you want to stay in touch, please head over to my YouTube channel, give it a like and a subscribe. I've got something exciting coming on there in October. And send me your email addresses if you would like to keep informed of offers and discounts and stuff that's going on in Etsy, etc, etc. But yeah, so Liz, just to quickly answer, this dress, I did make it, yes, it is the Tilly and the Buttons Lyra dress, and it's made up in Lady McElroy fabric. So there you go. Hope that's helpful. In the meantime, have a great Sunday and enjoy your food, gainer.